Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's third video. We're going to have a sneak peek for winter of 2019-20 for today's third video, and we're going to explain the GWV's winter forecast methodology. So in just a week's time, 1 week's time, Sunday the 1st September, we are going to release the first winter update at GWV, and we're going to do a winter update every week thereafter, right way through to the end of November. So we're going to look at various things, like explain the methodology as we go along. At the end of the video, we'll also have a look at a few season models for winter 2019-20, just to whet your appetite a little bit. Just say that the two videos released so far today. Solar Sunday, big day at GWV as always, where we do Solar Sunday. So that video is currently on the homepage at GWV.com, and later on that will be placed on the Solar Cycle 24-25 updates page, and there'll be a written summary that goes with that, and that will be probably around 7-8 o'clock this evening. We also released the final GWV Sunday Roundup of the year, so they will be going on the back burner now until the beginning of next year in favour of the winter updates. We always put GWV Sunday Roundup on the back burner in favour of winter updates through the autumn, because a lot of things that we talk about in GWV Sunday Roundup are also discussed in winter updates, and therefore we'd just be repeating ourselves if we did a Sunday Roundup and a winter update. So the final GWV Sunday Roundup is on the homepage right now. Have a look at those two videos when you are done with this one. So let's get on with it then, and we'll talk about methodology first of all. So of course, already in the bank is the NAO forecast. So back at the beginning of July, actually it's like last day of June this year, we released the winter 2019-2020 NAO forecast based on May sea surface temperature anomalies. And this is very indicative of the sea surface temperature anomalies that we had in the North Atlantic in the month of May. So during May 2019, with sea surface temperature anomalies, we started to inch our way into something of a tripole type pattern. So that's where it's warmer down here, and then it's a bit cooler just here, and then a little bit warmer again. Let's do that just there. So we had, it wasn't a classic tripole during May, but as the month of May went along, we started to see the sea surface temperature anomalies warming up to the south of Greenland. And that developed further as we went into June and into the summer. So the NAO forecast points to a slightly negative NAO, a weakly negative NAO for winter of 2019-20, and therefore that will favour, to some degree anyway, the chance of a rather colder winter. So that's already in the bank, and that's the basis on which everything else is going to be built. So through the autumn, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the sea surface temperature anomalies in both the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. This is how things are looking in the Atlantic Ocean now. So you see how much things have developed with this warmer than average area of sea surface temperature anomalies to the south of Greenland. That cooler area through the south of that warm area has shrunk quite a lot. It's now warmed up over towards Newfoundland, and then underneath that it still looks pretty warm as you head down towards the tropics. So overall, the Atlantic is in a very, very warm state at the moment, and we'll be seeing whether things develop through the course of the autumn. What we're going to be looking for through the autumn, I think, is to see whether this area starts to cool. The theory is that the sea surface temperature anomalies that you have in the month of May should start to repeat as you get in towards the winter. So we should keep this warmer area going just here, but this area should start to cool again as we go through the autumn, and we should keep it pretty warm down here. But we'll be keeping a very close eye on that, of course. We'll also be keeping an eye on what's happening in the northeast Pacific. We have a very, very warm sea surface temperature anomaly profile in the northeastern Pacific. That's something we've had quite a lot of over the past few years. Has been associated with pretty cold winters going down into North America, bringing cold air out of Canada into northern parts of America. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Will we start to see those sea surface temperature anomalies reducing around this area? Will they start to cool down? We'll keep a very close eye on that. And then, of course, we'll be keeping a watch every week on the ENSO region, just here in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Will we start to move our way in towards a weak La Nina? We already have a signature for weak La Nina in the eastern part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, although it's still relatively warm through the central and western part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Will we develop into a weak La Nina as we go through the autumn, or will we stay at ENSO neutral? We will be attempting to establish exactly what the implications are if we go into weak La Nina versus what the implications are for the winter if we stay in ENSO neutral conditions. So big part of winter updates in the next few weeks will be what's happening in the oceans. The oceans are the great drivers, of course, of the weather. Now, been in a prolonged negative phase of the North Atlantic oscillation. This chart is showing where we've been with the NAO. This black line just here, the red line's at the end, where the GFS ensembles are forecasting NAO to go. So we've been in a prolonged negative phase of the North Atlantic oscillation. It looks like the GFS ensembles are forecasting that will probably stay neutral to negative as we head in towards the beginning of September as well. So we'll be trying to decipher what the implications of the negative phase of the North Atlantic oscillation and also the Arctic oscillation could be in the next few weeks and months. And of course, we're keeping a close eye on how those trends are developing. Now, this was a new feature that we included in last year's winter updates. This is looking at the strength of the zonal winds over the North Pole and also how the zonal winds are being forecast to progress over the next few weeks and months from, first of all, the GFS short-range model, which only runs around a couple of weeks, and the CFS V2, which runs to a couple of months out on this chart. This is from weatheriscool.com. We included it for the first time in last year's winter update, so I've decided to bring it back this year because it did actually turn out to be one of the popular elements within last year's winter update. So I thought, yes, why not bring it back again this year. So I won't go through all of the coloured lines at the moment, but what you really need to know right now, we'll talk about this much more in the first winter update next week. What you really need to know is that at the moment, this blue line just here is showing where we are with the strength of the zonal winds for this particular season, and we are actually at the moment at a very weak level indeed with the zonal winds. In fact, we have had record-breaking weakness of the zonal winds in the stratosphere over the North Pole through the past few days and weeks. We are well below trend, or we're weaker than trend anyway. The black line, kind of like the trend, and this time of year the zonal winds should be picking up, it should be powering up, and they're not really powering up that strongly at the moment. So at the moment, the zonal winds in the stratosphere over North Pole remain in a weakened state. They have been in that weakened state really since around March, sort of late March, early April. That's when we started to get much weaker zonal winds developing in the stratosphere over North Pole. And we kept in that weakened state of zonal winds right the way through the summer. We will talk much more about the strength of zonal winds at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over North Pole over the coming weeks, and we'll be talking about this a lot in the winter updates in the next few weeks and months. We'll be keeping a very close eye on Atlantic hurricane and tropical storm activity. This is the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season page from Wikipedia, and at the moment, very weak Atlantic hurricane season. We've only had, let's have a look at the scores on the door. So at the moment, we have only had 4 depressions, we've only had 3 storms and 1 hurricane. So it has been quite a quiet and fairly modest start to this hurricane season. We are expecting that things will pick up quite a lot as we go through the autumn. NOAA and National Hurricane Center have put out a forecast for this 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. They go for a relatively big season, actually. Given the modest numbers that we've had so far, that would imply, as we get to September and October, we are likely to see quite a big ramp up in activity. So things could get very, very interesting through the course of this season winter updates as we monitor the progress of the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season. We also keep a close eye on the QBO, the quasi-biennial oscillation. So we are in the westerly phase of the QBO right now. That's indicated by this grey area just here. But the easterly phase of the QBO is beginning to descend down the atmosphere. Currently, it's just in the boundary, top level of the atmosphere in the stratosphere up here, around 10, 20 HPA, that we've got this easterly QBO beginning to form in the very top levels of the atmosphere. But over the course of this autumn, we're expecting that the easterly QBO will descend. It will descend down on this chart with a white area sort of expanding. And by the time we get through to the winter, we could well be transitioning into an easterly QBO. So we will be attempting to answer what implications this transition from a westerly to easterly QBO could have through the winter, what implications that could have on our winter, and of course we will be monitoring the QBO on a month-by-month basis to see whether this descent into the easterly QBO begins to gather pace through the autumn and heading into the winter. The quasi-biennial oscillation is always an important player in the winter updates, and this year will be no exception. Of course, solar activity is going to form a big part of the winter updates as well. So we've released Solar Sunday today, talking in depth about what's happening on the sun at the moment. We are in solar minimum. Really, we have gone into solar minimum. We're not sure when we're going to start to come out of solar minimum, but we're expecting that winter of 2019-2020 will probably be the solar minimum winter of this solar cycle. So we will again be talking a lot about solar activity. This is the solar disk on our side this today from soham.net. Spot this disk as you expect when you're in solar minimum. You're going to see a lot of that over the course of the next few weeks with the winter updates. Expect to see the sun in a very, very quiet state, and most of the weeks will probably show this chart and it won't have any sunspots. We will, of course, have the GWV solar activity tracker. Our good friend James Ackroyd will keep this updated for us, so you'll see this on a week-by-week basis through winter updates. And we should stay at very, very low, very modest, very minimal levels of solar activity throughout the season, so you'll see plenty on solar activity, of course. And then this is one of the things that people always look forward to during winter updates, and it starts to become a little bit more important later on. Don't expect to see too much of this early on because there's very little to see in the first few weeks. But we will be monitoring the progress of the snow line pushing across Siberia. This is how things are looking at the moment across Eurasia. Very, very little snow except over sort of mountainous areas, but basically we're snow free right the way from the very, very far west of Europe over here where we are, of course, all the way to the eastern side of Siberia. All areas are basically snow free except over mountainous areas. But through the next few weeks and months, we're going to see the snow line pushing across Siberia and into Russia. And by the time you get through to the end of the winter updates at the end of November, all of this area should be filled up with snow. How quickly that area fills up with snow is always one of the things that we monitor, because if there's a very rapid expansion of snow across Eurasia during the course of October in particular, then that can feed back to an enhanced Siberian high. Now, an enhanced, a stronger than normal Siberian high can be a blessing or a curse depending on your point of view. If the Siberian high builds out of Russia and goes in that direction, then it can deliver very, very cold weather, cold air to Europe. Sometimes, though, the Siberian high will go that way and head down into Canada, North America. When that happens, you can take extreme cold out of Siberia into Canada and then down into America, but that can blow up the jet stream, and you can find that the Siberian high, in a strengthened state, actually delivers very mild stormy conditions to Western Europe as that cold air spills out of North America, heads into the Atlantic, and blows up into cyclogenesis. So we'll be talking much more about this over the next few weeks, especially as we get through to October. We will discuss this in depth. Initially, we will only see a few snow patches, a few white patches appearing here and there. That will be through September, but then it's October that is the month we focus on, see how quickly that snow line extends across Siberia. One of the first things that we look at is Arctic sea ice extent, which you can see on here actually. This yellow area is where we've got Arctic sea ice at the moment. The melt season is well and truly underway. Of course, this is a very big melt season that we're having again. This, you can see that by all of this blue area that's opened out, where we would have yellow when it's frozen up, and we will have yellow areas through all of these sort of areas just here when the refreeze gathers pace through the course of the autumn. But at the moment, we actually have a very big melt season taking place. That's where we are with our Arctic sea ice extent at the moment, versus the death spiral year of 2012, which is this red dash line, and we have actually just pulled up short of 2012 at the moment. So it's possible that 2012's death spiral minimum Arctic sea ice extent record, or record Arctic minimum sea ice extent, however you want to say it. It looks like we have possibly pulled up just a little bit short of that, but of course we will monitor this very closely with the first couple of winter updates. Expect to see this featuring in updates 1, 2, possibly 3, and then the refreeze will start to gather pace and we won't look at it anymore after that. But always in the first couple of updates, this forms quite an important part of the winter updates. And of course, through it all, we will be bringing you reanalysis, looking at what the impacts of all of these things that we just talked about could be. So, for example, with the QBO, through reanalysis, we will attempt to explain and discuss what the impacts of a westerly to easterly transitioning QBO winter could be, and we will do that through the reanalysis. This is the reanalysis chart for the winter of 2018-2019. Last winter, it's a very odd winter pattern, really, because it had a strong northern blocking signal with high pressure centred towards Greenland, but at the same time, it also had a strong area of high pressure around Spain. And so, despite the northern blocking, it's actually quite a mild winter and a pretty dry winter as well. So our Analogs guru, James Ackrill, is on standby for us. In fact, I can tell you that we already have some analogs in the bank, in the locker, for next week's first update. We've had those for several weeks now, and we will bring you the first batch of winter 2019-2020 analogs next week in the first GWV.com 2019-2020 winter update. So Analogs guru James is primed and ready to go. And then finally, of course, there will be the seasonal models, as well as all of these winter updates that we can do every Sunday on the final Saturday of the next 3 months, on the final Saturday of September, on the final Saturday of October, and probably on the final Saturday of November. We will bring you 3 seasonal model roundups where we get all of the long-range models together, and you'll get to see what they're all saying about the winter of 2019-2020. Finally, just to finish off this little sneak peek, we're going to have a look at some long-range models. So we begin with the mean sea level pressure anomaly from the UK Met Office long-range model for November, December, January. Not yet covering the full winter period, but it is quite an interesting mean sea level pressure anomaly for November to January. It has high pressure up towards Scandinavia. It has a low pressure to our southwest, and so this would imply that we're probably bringing in quite cold sort of easterly type winds. The temperature anomaly is a little bit milder than average, so I'm not doing anything particularly exciting for temperatures at this stage. Precipitation anomalies are rather wetter than average, but notice it's drier than average around here, close to Iceland, and up here. That tells us that there could be a little bit of blocking as we go into the early winter in any case. CFS V2 is looking like this. It's the 700 millibar height anomaly for winter of 2019-2020. At the moment, CFS is looking rather zonal, with above average heights to our south, below average heights to the north and the northwest, and feeding in generally quite mild westerly winds. It's going for very mild temperatures for the winter of 2019-20, significantly above average, not just for the UK and Ireland, but for most parts of Europe. And a rather wet winter as well is being forecast by CFS at the moment. This is CANSIPS. This is the mean sea level pressure anomaly for winter of 2019-2020 from CANSIPS. And this one looks quite interesting. Again, it has lower pressure to the south, some low pressure to the south. It has high pressure with these red colours up to the north. It would imply that we've got northern blocking through this winter, and we may be bringing in easterly winds as well. That is hinting at the chance of a cold winter, not just for the UK, but for many northern parts of Europe too. Temperature anomalies actually look quite cool with CANSIPS for this winter. It's going for average to slightly cooler than average with the temperature anomaly. Not very often you see that with CANSIPS. And it's also going for a rather dry winter to the north, again to north of Scotland, between Scotland and Iceland. Wetter average down to south. So again, you see, but it is going for blocking. It's going for high pressure to be up here and probably over here towards Scandinavia. Low pressure down there, so it's a negative NAO, AO type winter that's being forecast here and would leave us potentially putting in cold north or easterly winds. Jamstech also looks a little bit colder than average, although this one always does when you're several months out. But at the moment, going for a slightly cooler than average winter. Temperature anomaly there with Jamstech. And also, for precipitation is concerned, again, you can see it's going for blocking up to the north, driving average around Iceland, wetter than average around France. So again, this tells us we're likely to have northern blocking if Jamstech is right. Bear in mind that one always looks cold, very often looks cold, several months out when it gets warmer, the closer you get. And then finally, for this little sneak peek, Beijing Climate Centre, this is 500 millibar heights. We're just here. And it's going for blocking again through this winter. It has above average heights sitting to our north, below average heights to our south, and across Europe as well. That would imply, but again, we're bringing in east or northeasterly winds. You can see it a little bit better with the 200 millibar height anomaly. Again, we've got these orange colours sitting to our north. That's high pressure blocking across the polar field. Probably a trough of low pressure through here and through here. And again, that would leave us pulling in, but potentially anyway, pulling in northeasterly winds. Temperature anomalies are not that cold. They very rarely are with these long range models, so close to average with the temperature anomaly. And a rather dry winter is being forecast there as well, drier than average. You will see so much more of the long range models over the next few months. So we're going to do, as I say, 3 seasonal model roundups at the end of September, at the end of October, and then at the end of November. And then we will put the long range models together with the GWV.com forecast methodology, everything that I've just talked about through this sneak peek, everything that we're going to be focusing on a week by week basis through the autumn. We will put it all together at the end of November, and we will release the GWV.com 2019-2020 forecast sometime at the end of November or the beginning of December. I haven't got the date penciled in yet, but I'll probably let you know when that's going to be next week. So that's it. It's all about to start cranking up again. So I know so many of you are waiting for winter updates to get going. I know it's one of the times at GWV that a lot of you enjoy the most. And here we go again. Another season of winter updates is about to begin. There's just a small matter, though, before we get to that. Just the small matter of the autumn forecast. So before we can do the winter updates, we have to do a forecast of the autumn 2019. That will be with you on Saturday. Saturday the 31st of August, we'll release the GWV's autumn forecast. And then when that's out of the way, when we've got that done, then we will commence winter updates the following day. No time to wait. Sunday, 1st of September, a week today, we will have the first winter 2019-2020 update for you, and we do a winter update every week right away through the autumn. So I hope you're looking forward to it. It's going to be hard work for myself and James and Rich and the team at GWV and Terry too. It's going to be hard work for us, but we're going to bring you these winter updates every week, and I just hope that you're looking forward to getting on the roller coaster with us again. The journey is about to begin. So come back for that next Sunday. Right, don't forget to check out Solar Sunday and also the final GWV Sunday Roundup. They're both on the homepage right now, so have a look at those and see what you think. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.